In this part 2 of the lab, I'll be looking at the right and left leg post-stretch after Chris has done the 3D soleus stretching matrix. This is the starting phase, and this is the ending phase. Starting with the right leg, this is the ankle dorsiflexion at the starting phase, post-stretch. This is the knee flexion at the starting phase of the right leg. And this is the hip flexion at the starting phase for the right leg. This is ankle dorsiflexion in the ending phase of the right leg. This is knee flexion of the right leg in the ending phase. And this is hip flexion in the ending phase for the right leg. For the right leg, the total amount of weight-bearing dorsiflexion of the ankle was 29 degrees. This is a 3-degree increase from before stretching. The total amount of weight-bearing knee flexion for the right leg was 95 degrees. This is a 21-degree increase over Chris's pre-stretch. And her total amount of weight-bearing hip flexion for the right leg was 80 degrees. This is a 14-degree increase over her pre-stretch. After discussing with Chris, as well as some background knowledge, we saw the largest increase with her hip flexion, also due to the fact that she does struggle with hip problems, so there is some pain with it. Now it's time for the left leg. This is ankle dorsiflexion in the starting phase of her left leg post-stretch. This is knee flexion in the starting phase. And this is hip flexion in the starting phase. This is ankle dorsiflexion in the ending phase. This is knee flexion in the ending phase. And this is hip flexion in the ending phase. The total amount of weight-bearing dorsiflexion for the left leg of the ankle was 33 degrees. This was actually 13 degrees more dorsiflexion than the pre-stretch. The total amount of weight-bearing knee flexion was 100 degrees, which is 25 degrees more than the pre-stretch. And then the total amount of weight-bearing hip flexion was 80 degrees, which is 21 degrees more than the pre-stretch. These are the totals amounts for the right and left leg post-stretch. And then in green is the pre-stretch amounts. Therefore, overall, Chris had more dorsiflexion and flexion in her ankle, knee, and hip in the starting phase post-stretch than she did in the pre-stretch. So aside from the pain that came with some of the stretching for Chris, it had a positive effect on her talocrural, tibiofemoral, and coxofemoral joint as they all increased in the post-stretch.